The Racing Postcast in association with Paddy Power. They stream all UK and Irish racing live on your mobile, tablet or PC.
What a very warm welcome to the Racing Postcast. I'm Ed Quigley. I'm delighted to say I'm joined by Paul Keeley. On the line from Paddy Power, of course, we have the man in form at the moment, Frank Hickey, and live on the track, Mr. David Jennings, our Irish correspondent, bringing us all the latest news from Presbury Park. So, and gentlemen, so much stuff to get through. We'll crack straight onto it. We'll come straight to you first, Frank. Bet to Gold Cup betting. This is a fascinating betting heat, and how are you shaking up with the prices there?
Yeah, just give me 1 second. My computer's after crashing on me.
He tips a few winners and he thinks he can. He doesn't even need prices.
Taking liberties, but I presume obviously more of that will be heading up the market with you gentlemen there.
Yeah, we caught more of that during the week. So we're 4-1 more of that, 13-2 Frodon, 8-1 Double Shuffle, 10-1 As to Me. Attacking the Side is actually 9-1. Bovril is 12-1. As is Atmaresk, and it's 14-1 Bar.
Well, I mentioned more of that. There's been a lot of confidence, shall we say, coming out of the stable regarding that one. And the RPTV cameras caught up with him earlier week. This is what he had to say.
I think he's a certainty. He's in great form, the horse. We're desperate to get a run into him, really. He's had his win done again. And, we're desperate to run him to see if it's worked. And if it has worked, he's there with a great chance,
It kills more of that. An enigma in some ways. Off 154 has the ability to be thrown in this, yet he is fragile.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, what John Joe said earlier in the week, that he's the best horse he's ever trained, and you could argue that that's the case because, by all accounts, Ruby Walsh couldn't believe that there was a horse around that could give Annie Power £7 at a beating like he did in the World Hurdle. After that, things didn't really go to plan because that was 2.5 years ago, you've got to remember. And now he's a chaser. Now, to me, I didn't think he was an absolute natural. I thought he jumped a bit slowly. Nothing really wrong with him, certainly with the potential to go on and improve. And obviously, off a mark of 154, he was £15, say, better over hurdles. So, if he translates all that ability, he's got a massive chance. But like you said, he's had his frailties. I don't think he
burst the blood vessel in the RSA. He's had another wind up, I believe.
Exactly. So, he's fragile. He's 8 now, going on 9. And, a lot of these top hurdlers do not end up being top chasers.
DJ, come on. You've been banging on. You're full of opinions for the big ones. What's your view on more of that to start with?
Yeah, more of that. As Paul said, he could be potentially, I think you said there, he could be potentially thrown in. And he's the one horse, he's like the long run of a few years ago in this race. He's the one horse, if there is a Gold Cup horse to come out of it, he's the only one, because when you go through them all, if you said one of these will be less than 10-1 in the betting for the Gold Cup next March, the only one that could possibly be shorter than 10-1 is more of that come next March, because he has the potential, obviously, to go to the very top over fences. I like the noises that are coming from John Jones. I like the noises that are coming from Barry. I did the Monday jury with him last week, and he was quite complimentary towards more of that. Barry's not one to get carried away, but I'm just not sure. I think there's a couple in here that are well handicapped, and one in particular, and I think he is going to find it hard to give way to some good horses unless he jumps really, really well, gets into a rhythm. Look, he could win, but I wouldn't be backing him at that price.
Dennis, I presume this is the one. Oh, sorry, Dennis. Frank, apologies. You should be there. I presume he's the one you've been seeing all the money for this week.
He has been very popular, but As to Me has been very popular as well this week. You can see their form ties in a little bit on the Novice Chase. I think we're on the same card last year, but they've been the two that have been most popular with us.
Anything at double figure prices, which has made you set up and take note?
Not really. It's been As to Me has been the one we've been laying all week, to be honest. That's the one that the punters seem to be siding with.
And they're dead right, Frank. They're dead right. This is I just think it was 16-1 earlier on in the week. I thought it was a cracking price. There's just so many things, so many boxes this horse ticks. Like beating 2.5 lengths by more of that and that Novice Chase last year. Look, I know more of that one quite easily, but it was off level weight that day. Getting so much weight from him here. Had a wind operation in the summer. Like he split Bristol the Moy in T for two in the Scilly Isles last year. They're rated 154 and 153. Like, I just think he deserves to be higher rated for what he's done, to be honest with you. Even looking at his run at Fontwell, I thought he was quite impressive. I thought he looked happy. He has course form. I think he runs well at this time of year as well. I think this has been the plan for a long time. And even Paul Nicholls saying that he could not believe that he couldn't win a novice chase with him last season. That strikes me as a horse that's well handicapped in the 130s. I think Asdame is a cracking price, even still at 10 to 1.
Well, we mentioned Asdame could be one of a four-pronged attack for Paul Nicholls. And earlier in the week, we asked assistant trainer Harry Durham what he thought was the stable's best chance.
Frodon for me. It's a horse we think a lot of. He's got an improving unexposed profile, which I think you need going into that race. I think 2.5 miles round there will suit well. I think he's just a tough, hardy horse that will run a huge race.
Keels, out of the four Paul Nicholls ones, which way would you be leaning?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you listen to last week's podcast, I did suggest that, you hovered over your anti-post prices and see if you could nick a bit of a price about him if he won at Wincanton. Also, if you listen to last week's, that would be the only thing you did right, because we all had a pretty shocking time of it. But he does jump really neatly. He is only a 4-year-old. He's getting some weight allowances. He's got a chance. I'd be happy with the 12s. I'm not massively excited about him at sort of 6 to 1, 13 to 2. I just think, this is a much bigger test of his stamina and his jumping. If anyone can do it, Paul Nicholls can. Obviously, he won the December Gold Cup with a 4-year-old, which had never been done before. But I just think that this is such a wide open race. Some of the horses at bigger prices are just silly prices based on their best form, and I'm going down the other end of the market.
Well, go on then. Where are you going?
Right. Well, my starting point was ASO of Venetia Williams. Now, I understand that they do need a bit of rain to fall before he's a certain runner, but for me, some of his form last year was excellent. I mean, he has a level weights win over Ballyalton to his name, and Ballyalton won the novice handicap chase here, beating a couple of today's runners, Bouvray and I've forgotten the other name, and Double Shuffle. Now, Double Shuffle's 8 to 1, Bouvray's 14 to 1, ASO is 20 to 1. He's got the beating of those. You may or may not like your collateral form, but if that was your only bit of form, I would agree.
Yeah.
But he's also absolutely thrashed Fourth Act on his last start last year. Fourth Act came out, finished fourth to Anthony in a 100 grand chase at Ascot the other week. And, of course, he was fifth in the Arkle, and he'd have been closer if he hadn't clouted so many fences, going over 2 mile, which is too short for him. He was still only 3 lengths behind Fox Norton, who's come out and gone up £16 for winning so easily at the October meeting. And this is a horse that's the only times he's been out of the first 2 in his life over fences. First 3 in his life over fences were in Grade 1s. And he's rated 144, I think. She's got Charlie Deutsch taking £5 off. He rode a big winner for her at the December meeting last year, Archon. And I think if he gets to go ahead, I just think he's a crazy price because, as far as profile is concerned for this sort of race, lightly raced chaser, has run in top graded races, and, more to come. He's at the right end of the handicap, and he's one of the youngest horses in the race. I think he's got a massive chance.
He's a big price. So you're going to stick with his team or anything else you can add to him?
But Stiletto has to be interesting. He's a shorter price now than he was earlier in the week, but he's still around 14 to 1. He went off 11 to 2 favourite for the plate. Now, the form that made him 11 to 2 favourite for the plate didn't make him a 16 to 1 shot for this. It's as simple as that. He's another one who apparently does need a bit of rain because he's a big horse. But there is rain forecast, and I think it'll be safe enough for both. And like I said, I do think it is a wide open race.
So to wrap up your selections,
main selection is ASO.
ASO, and we'll come to you then, Frank. Have you got a view yourself on this race?
I do. Yeah. I can see where Paul's coming from with ASO, and Double Shuffle for me, like if you watch the comeback run with Chepstow, he was absolutely smashed on the show. He was nearly, I'd say, at least 15, if not 20 lengths down, 3 out, and he gets beaten in neck. Tom George has his horses absolutely in unbelievable form. He can't stop training winners at the moment, and I just think this needs to be a bet to nothing. I can't see him being out of the frame. He might not be good enough to win, but I think
Frank, I like Double Shuffle. I do think he's got a big chance. But at 2.5 times the price, I'd have to back ASO.
Indeed.
No, that's fair enough. That's fair. To be honest, I kind of got involved in Double Shuffle at the start of last week, and I'm finding it difficult to go away from him. So.
The anti-post bank is sorted that one. And then DJ, to confirm Asdame for you?
Yeah, Asdame for me. And as Paul said, there is some in here at ridiculously big prices. One of those is Thomas Crapper, who obviously loves Cheltenham, and I just think he was trained for the novices handicap chase at the festival last year, and he didn't get into the race. And I know Robert Dickin was absolutely sick he didn't get into the race. And I often find with these horses, when they are trained for one specific target and then something happens and they don't get in, and then there's plan B's put in place, the plan B's, C's and D's don't always work, and it just went completely astray for Thomas Crapper at the end of last season. He's a better horse than that. He's well handicapped on the best of his form, especially at the festival from 2 years ago, and I think he's a huge price for the horse that he is and the course form, but he's at a bigger price. But I think As to Me will be right there in the shake-up. I think everything is in his favour, and I'd be very disappointed if he's not at least have every chance turning for home. If he's not good enough after the last, fair enough, but I can't see him being beaten far if he's hands on his feet.
Well, I thought Takanda Sawyer would offer some each-way value back in a handicapper as a previous Grade 1 winner. Well, after the break, we'll be looking at the rest of the action.
Here's Paddy Power's latest horse racing offer. It's money back as a free bet if your horse finishes second to the SP5 every race this weekend at the Cheltenham Open. Max £25 per race, not available in shops. T&C supply. 18+. Gambleaware.co.uk.
Hey, welcome back to the Racing Postcast, joined by Paul Keeley, David Jennings and Frank Hickey on the line from Paddy Power. Keels, come to you first. The rest of the Channel 4 action at Cheltenham, anything jumping off the page for you?
Yeah, absolutely, quite a few. The Bet Victor Handicap Chase over 3 mile, 3 furlongs. I just find it astounding that Shotgun Paddy was as big a price as he was earlier in the week. I think he's probably still about 20 to 1. He's always gone well fresh. He's won first time out a couple of times. He was 5th in this race last season, beaten just over 3 lengths by Saucerly of Sunrise. He's £19 better off. Now, after that, he went on, finished 3rd in the Welsh National and then 2nd in the Ida Chase. Yet 2 below par runs at the end of last season mean he starts this season on his lowest ever mark over fences.
What about the ground for him?
The ground is fine. I mean, he was only beaten a neck by Midnight Prayer in a 4 miler at Cheltenham when it was goodish ground. If they get the rain, it'll be perfect for him. I think he'll go really well. One of the lighter weighted ones, 4th Act, is definitely interesting. Being a brother to Theatre Guide, staying on 4th to Anthony last time, Ascot. But I just think Shotgun Paddy's a silly price. Then we go. Are we doing All Me?
Yeah, go on. Far away.
We go to the. I give Valhalla half a chance in the 3 o'clock. I do think he's probably a little bit exposed now, but he runs well all the time. But the horse that was 3rd when Valhalla was 2nd at Cheltenham over 2 mile 5 furlong last time, Robin of Loxley of Dan Skelton's. Right, the front 2 in that race raced from the 1st and 2nd virtually all the way round, and at the back, this Robin of Loxley was pulling like a train, and he still cantered into it the second last, and then didn't get home. He gets a tongue tie and a hood this time, and if the hood settles him down, is a fantastically well handicapped
stronger
horse.
gallop, yeah.
If he gets a stronger gallop as well, so yeah, Robin of Loxley really interests me off a low weight. If he's not well handicapped, I don't know. I wouldn't know what to say.
That's not often that happens, Kills.
Yeah.
And then I presume you got one in the 3:35 as well.
That was the 3:35, mate. That was the 3:35.
Apologies, I'm having a shock here.
Yeah, obviously Thistlecrack will win if he gets round in the 1:15, and in the Triumph Hurdle trial, I don't seem to have the actual decks because I can't believe all those are running. Maybe they are. But no. I mean, if Cliffs of Dover is running, he'll probably win, won't he?
Yeah, I don't think he's running. He's not running.
No. The decks aren't updated on this iPad, so.
Well, we're locked up. But we'll come to you then, Frank, for the rest of the bets on the card. You've been the man on form since we've been kicking these shows off. We're looking for some shrewd information here. Where are we going?
Well, firstly, just to mention for Thistlecrack, he will probably be about a 1 to 8 shot, but for new customers who sign up to the Racing Post app, we're offering 4 to 1 on Thistlecrack for a tenner. So it's basically giving you €40 in free bets if Thistlecrack wins tomorrow if you want to sign up to the Racing Post app. But there's a couple I like. Unfortunately, Paul's beat me to the punch at Robin of Loxley, who's a massive high catcher the last day, and I'll be shocked that he's not well handicapped, and Bridget Andrews taking 3 off as well. Compared to the last day, I wouldn't be surprised if he turns the form round. I think he will go very close. There's another one in the 3 o'clock making handicap debut called Alison Monterg.
Yeah.
It is running off a mark of 140. Bolts up Leicester, was 6th in the Albert Bartlett afterwards. But if you go back to January at Cheltenham over 2.5 miles, it was beaten a neck by Champers and Ice on heavy ground. I think it's the fact it's trained by Richard Hobson. Something you might get a big price about this. Aidan Coleman's up. I wouldn't be surprised if this is away for its life tomorrow. And I think it'll be a decent each way bet. And finally, in the bumper, This is a little bit of sentimental value. Irish Row was leg 5 of that famous Heinz, and she goes again in the listed mare's bumper.
Here we
and
go.
Been trained by Peter Atkinson. Graham Lee is riding, which is a little bit eye-catching, and I wouldn't be surprised if this goes off a decent price and runs a big race as well.
All right, great. We've got some great value each way selections for Frank there. And then come on there, DJ. Where's the money going?
We'll start off on the 150. I know he's a little bit of an enigma, but by God, he's well handicapped. I fancy Dr. Harper.
Same here.
Look,
we curse that one.
Look, you can, if you go in, like, he started 4 to 1 favourite for the Kim Moore off a mark of 141. He absolutely clattered at first. He nearly came down. It completely knocked his confidence. You can forget about that run at Cheltenham and them, especially, in them big handicap chases. They go quicker than they go at any time during the year, and I just think it really did affect him, and he was completely taken out of his rhythm. The ground was too quick at Haydock then in May. It was the end of the season, as I said earlier about Thomas Crapper. I think the Kim Moore was the day for Dr. Harper, and I wouldn't read too much into that run at Haydock. I think he needs a bit of cut in the ground. He's so unexposed over these longer trips. He's only ran twice over 3 miles plus. Like in the Kim Moore, obviously, where everything went wrong, and he won a grade 3 handicap hurdle at Aintree in 2014 off a mark of 138. I would imagine he's at least 150 horse in the making. So I think he's got plenty up his sleeve. Much will depend on how he jumps the first couple of fences. And I think he's a type of horse. I think he might be a little bit claustrophobic. I don't think he likes horses around him. But I think if he does get into the rhythm early, gets a little bit of space, starts enjoying himself, I think he could be chucked in off 138. But there obviously are risks attached. But I'd be disappointed if things don't go his way and he's not in the frame. I'd be very disappointed. The other one I like, just because I think he's still probably well handicapped, the Sea Light for Charles Burns in the 3 o'clock. He was probably a little bit lucky to win at Killarney when John Kiley's horse fell at the last. But he's off 1, 2, 3. It's been with Charles usually these handicappers that do make steady progress. I think he's still relatively unexposed. He probably would have won twice at Galway if things went his way. And he's off 123 here. I think he could have a little bit up his sleeve. He's not one to trust. He's a little bit of an enigma, but I think everything is in his favour, and I think he could run well. But it's Dr. Harper would be my main bet on the card, Ed.
Okie doke. While you're on it, DJ, anything else elsewhere at all on Saturday which is grabbing your eyes?
Yeah, obviously we've got Nace on Saturday. That's really interesting. You've got Grey Card, and there's only 4 in the Fishery Lane Hurdle at Nace. You've got Kashari, Slow Motion, Missy Tat, and Swamp Fox. But I'd imagine that Missy Tat, are probably with the run under her belt, might just do them for fitness maybe in that. And it'll probably be close enough betting between the 4 of them, especially the top 3 in the market. Prince of Scars makes his jumping debut in the 135 in a beginner's chase, a good beginner's chase at Nace. But the one I did Gordon Elliott stable to her, and one horse that he seemed to be purring about. Now you're trying to read between the lines with these trainers sometimes, but the one I thought he did like a lot was Balthazar Dallier in the 210. Now he's owned by JP McManus, so you just never know what to expect. But I think he's been working quite well at home, and I'd say he's a nice horse that came from France. So Balthazar Dallier is one to look out for. And
Frank, any bets for yourself away from the action at Presby Park?
I was going to mention that Balthazar Dallier. We've heard a few mentions about that, so that's one to keep on side. A Weatherby 315. There is one, R. Thomas. It was disappointing on the face of it in the Fred Winter last year, but it had been pretty consistent before that. It was only 4 lengths behind Leon Cavallo and So Royale over the same course and distance last year. Now it was getting £4, but it's running off 123 here.
Yeah, could be chucked in.
This is chucked in.
Yeah.
Weatherby, Easterby. I wouldn't be surprised if this absolutely.
It all adds up, doesn't it? It all adds up.
The only one I'm afraid of is the Skeleton horse, Apples and Pierres. That's unexposed as well. But this is definitely well handicapped, and it's going to be an each way price as well. I'd definitely be having a bet on that.
Okay, that's a good one to keep an eye on. And Keels, yourself?
No.
Sticking with Cheltenham.
Only.
Yeah, Cheltenham only. Okay then. Right, well then, gentlemen, we'll be getting your best bets in a second.
This will not be beaten.
Paul Keeley, Saturday nap.
Yeah, fairly sure the best handicap horse running anywhere tomorrow is Robin of Loxley in the 335.
And DJ?
I'm fairly sure the best handicap horse running anywhere tomorrow is Dr. Harper in the 150.
150. And Frank, for yourself?
Lingfield 1250. I'm going to give one last go to Outback Traveller back in the all-weather. He's top in time form ratings. His record on the all-weather is 2 wins in 2 seconds. Narrow seconds as well. I think again he's going to be a decent price. I think this will win. So yeah, I'm going to put that up as my best bet.
Here's Paddy Power's latest horse racing offer. It's money back as a free bet if your horse finishes second to the SP Fav every race this weekend at the Cheltenham Open. Max £25 per race, not available in shops. T&Cs apply. 18+, gambleaware.co.uk.
We're listening to the Racing Postcast. I'm joined by Paul Keeley, David Jennings and Frank Hickey on the line. Now, lots of great action to get through on Sunday, of course. 5 races on Channel 4. 12:45 is the Supreme Trial. Last year, Altior won this following up at the festival. Of course, we've had other notable winners in recent times, including Dodging Bullets and Q-Card. Keels, we're going to see anything of the like, do you think, coming into this?
Hey, it's possible, isn't it? And obviously we've got 2 champion bumper winners in Moon Race and Ballyandy.
You surprised Ballyandy's in this rather than the 2.5 miler?
No, not really. No. I don't see why he should go straight up straight away. You know, he was beaten fair and square at Perth. But the one thing I would like to say about this is I think both of them are absolutely shocking prices. I don't think you can rate that form at Perth very highly. The third's only rated 116, was given £7, was beaten 20 lengths, but was eased long before the final hurdle. And I think both of them are going to have to come on a lot to do it. And, you know, the market quite often gets taken away by these bumper horses that come out and go over hurdles. And I think Alan King's keeping line is an absolute knocking back. A little bit disappointed there aren't 8 runners, but I'm just going to have a win smash instead. He was a 100 horse on the flat.
Yeah.
Big engine, and a decent
yep.
one.
Yep.
And after being a little bit too buzzy first time at Huntingdon, when he warmed to his task then, he jumped the last couple of hurdles like a horse that had been doing it all his life. Did it again at Bangor, just jumped really, really well. And when you get a horse rated his sort of level on the flat that can jump so as neatly as he does, they tend to be able to go a long way. And I'm really excited about this horse, and I think 6 to 1's a massive price.
Massive price for Kills. I mean, Frank, how is the market shaping up for this one?
2 seconds there, sorry.
It's computer
I think
problems.
we were 6 to 4 Ballyandy, 13 to 8 Moon Racer, and I think we're out to, is it 6 to 1 keep in line?
Yeah, 6 is keeping line. Amazing value.
Okay, and I mean, DJ, do you have a view on it?
I do. I fancy Moon Racer. I think he'll win.
Right.
And I'll run behind DJ there.
Right, well, need you say no more. Okay, moving on to the 120, Race Post Arkle Trophy Trial. Of course, Paul Nicholls has farmed this race in recent times. I think he's won 5 of the last 8. And, I mean, what's your view on this one, Kills?
I think it's a good race. You could probably make a case for most, but I think Le Président is probably the one to beat.
Gets the weight as well, doesn't
it? Decent second last time.
That was a good race, wasn't it, Utopster?
Yes, it was. Yeah, it was a good race, and I think he's a horse with a fairly decent attitude. I know a couple of people knocked him when he didn't go past It's a Freebie at Haydock last year over hurdles, but I think It's a Freebie is a real tough horse.
Yeah.
Going places, and obviously ran really well at the festival as well. So, yeah, I like the Président. Not my sort of race because you're not going to get much of a price.
Okay, DJ?
Yeah, there's so many Irish in this, but the Irish in it are grade 3 horses. They're going to struggle to win grade 2s and grade 1s. Le Président is the one with most potential, and I'd be very surprised if Le Président would beat.
Yeah, Frank, are we going to make this a clean sweep for Le Président?
It is. I'll echo what the 2 lads have said. That's I think this will definitely win.
Right, well, that's guaranteed to lose now. We've all given that the kiss of death. But on to the 155, the Schur Chase, of course. This could be really interesting. You've got Fox Norton, of course, since changed hands after he bolted up in handicap last time out. And we've got the old boy Simon Sig likely to run on the card as well. It's hard with Simon Sig, isn't it, Paul? Because you don't really know what's still under the bonnet in many ways.
Well, yeah, exactly. He had that one good run at Punchestown last year, and you don't know what to expect. I mean, I always thought he wasn't actually as good as everybody thought he was. I was quite surprised he did so well at Punchestown, to be honest. I think I laid him 3 places that day, but you know, he's a decent horse. But I mean, he was favourite earlier in the week, and he shouldn't have been favourite because he doesn't even have the best form. I know he's getting weight, but Special Tiara, if he's fit enough and he doesn't have the best record fresh, and the ground stays on the good side, I think Special Tiara ought to win. Fox Norton is the other one up there in the market now. He's taken a massive step up, but as commanding as his win was at Cheltenham, it was off a handicap mark of about 146. Now he's giving £4 to a horse rated 168.
Yeah.
So it's a massively different
ball game. Yeah.
if Specialty was fit, I think he'll win.
And Frank, how's the betting shaping up for this? I can imagine we've got 3 almost vying for favouritism now, have we?
Yeah, it's very tight at the top. It's 11-4 Special Tiara, 3-1 Simon's Sake, 130 Fox Norton, 9-2 Top Gamble, 10-1 Simply Ned, and 16-1 Bar.
I mean, do you yourself, Frank, you think it's between the protagonists, or is there going to be something left to field getting involved here?
I think, well, not left to field, but if it does rain, there's a fair bit of rain forecast, I think, over the weekend, particularly Saturday. And if that's the case, I think it'll bring Top Gamble right into it. Now, if they get a lot of rain and the ground does get soft, I think he wouldn't be a bad each way bet, to be honest.
What price are you going Top Gamble?
He's 9-2.
9-2, I suppose. Yeah, the ground in its favour. That one's got some.
But you need the ground to go soft for him.
He's got
but
a
if
big
it
pen,
did,
though, isn't he?
He does. But I just think if he gets out in front, he'll keep on going on the soft ground. It just mightn't be ideal for Fox Norton, especially Tara, if it did get soft. Now, it's purely dependent on how much rain.
Yeah.
They don't get that much, I wouldn't be going near him.
I mean, the action just keeps on coming, doesn't it? We'll have to shuffle along
What
to...
about Dave? We haven't got Dave.
Go on, DJ, then. Go on.
I'm going to do something that you should never do in life. I'm going to disagree with Paul Keeley. I think Simon Sake was every bit as good as everybody said he was when he was in his prime. Look, that day in the Neptune, I thought he was fantastic. Everything went wrong in the Arkle and he still won it. I know he only beat Bailey Green, but Lord, he was so keen, and that's the thing, he is so keen, but I think the vibes are fairly good. I think he's by far the best horse in the race. So I think 3-1 is pretty fair. Now, Paul is a much more profitable punter than I am, and he obviously speaks.
I wouldn't bet on it, mate.
I think 3s is fairly okay. Like I'd be willing to take that because I think he is the best horse in the race, and the vibes are good. And now might be the time to catch him. He's a kind of a keen, he's going to be enthusiastic tomorrow, and he hasn't had that much racing in the last obviously 2 or 3 years. Yeah, I thought that run of Punchdown was a cracking run, to be honest with you. I'd be willing to roll in with Simon Sake at 3-1.
Okay, well, apologies for that, David. We'll move on to the Greatwood Hurdle now. And while we're on it, DJ, your view in the big one?
Yeah, I've been all over a hairbreadth for a long time. I think I started thinking about a hairbreadth for the Greatwood back in bloody July or August, to be honest with you. Look, I think he's really well handicapped off 137. He won the novice handicap at this meeting last year off 120. It was a good enough race. Double W's is now rated. He was third. He's rated 140 over fences. And I just thought even the race itself probably didn't go according to plan. There was a lot of hurdles though. Miss it that day. I think there was Low Lion's Son. But then he went on, and I thought nothing went right the next day. Barry Garrity rode him at the December meeting. He didn't jump well that day, which is unlike him because he's a really good jumper. He absolutely bolted up then at Kempton. He won by 10 lengths. Now, it was a poor race, but when you're in the novice hurdle by 10 lengths and only go up £3, I think that's really interesting. Again, I'd forget his last run. I know I'm forgiving him a lot of times here, but I would forget his last run. I still think
he burst a blood vessel, didn't he, that day, I think?
He did, yeah, which is worrying, obviously. But look, Ben Pauling has said he's never had him better. I think 4 of his last 7 horses have won. The stable are in cracking form. I think he's a bloody good horse. I really do. I think in this race, I think you need to be 10 or 12 pounds well in, and I think he is. I backed him at 16-1 and 14-1. I think he's 10s now. I could even see him going off shorter. I think he's a good horse.
So there's not much confidence behind that one for DJ. And so a hairbreadth, Frank, for DJ. I mean, what price are you with him and the rest of the runners in the field?
We're 5-2 Winter Escape, 7s Modus, 9-1 to DeBello, 10-1 Stern Reuben and Brain Power and North Hill Harvey, 10-1 Leo Cavallo and a hairbreadth, 12-1 John Constable and 16-1 Bar.
You getting involved yourself, or have you already got involved yourself?
I am balls deep on Winter Escape.
Well, that's the funny one. Yeah, I was going to say, obviously, totally unexposed. The Maracuja form looks smart, and I'm assuming you're on a lot bigger prices than his current one.
Well, I think we did a National Hunt preview about 3 weeks ago, and I put this up as my horse to follow for the season. The mark of 142, based on that Welsh Shadow Maracuja form, looks pretty lenient. And then if you factor in that he could have improved over the summer, he is the one horse that could be a 155 horse at least, and I've been chipping away at him now.
And he's working with Sco Royale apparently, so that obviously, those pieces of work is obviously going down well.
Yeah, I did say it in the office that I thought it was significant they were keeping Sco Royale away from this a couple of weeks ago, but I was kind of shot down to that was irrelevant. But I do think if this wasn't working really well at home, they'd have sent Sco Royale to this race after he won at Cheltenham the first day. So yeah, I think this is going to be very hard to beat if he's improved. It's going to be impossible to beat.
Winter Escape for you? Back, lay, ignore?
He's one of those. It would not surprise you at all if he came there cruising at the last and absolutely bolted up. I don't actually think he's massively well handicapped on what he's done on the course. But he, there's talk that he got injured slightly afterwards, and he hung a little bit at Kempton, and it might have happened. It might even have happened then, because I wasn't that impressed with him. I expected him to beat Maracuja, who has obviously turned into a decent chaser since, but I expected him to beat Maracuja more easily than he did that day, and I don't think the time was particularly brilliant, but he's got a lot of potential.
The unexposed angle, which is exciting,
quite
isn't it?
inexperienced.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going in against a big field of hardened handicappers here, so if you've got a decent price about him, then good luck to you. But I couldn't even touch him at 5-2. I put up Leon Cavallo. I won't say I backed because I bloody forgot, and I can't believe it.
That's one of
looked
3 men
on the day,
isn't
it
it? Yeah.
halved in price. It wasn't really a horse I expected to go that short, but Leon Cavallo is just a really, really consistent horse. He's tough, he's game, he's got a good attitude. He probably doesn't have a vast amount ahead of the handicapper, but the only time he's completed and finished out the first 2 was when he was 5th in a triumph that I think was a good triumph. And so I think he's got an each-way chance. And the other one, we were all talking about back in North Hill Harvey last week against So Royal at Wincanton. And he actually started this week at 25-1 for this race, and he's down to about 10s now.
Yeah.
He was highly tried again in Grade 1 races when he probably hadn't shown anywhere near Grade 1 form.
Yeah.
And Harry Skelton has picked him over Chittibello, who's got some really rock-solid handicap form. So you've got to give him a chance too.
So some each-way alternatives against the Jolly. And DJ, to wrap up on this race, I mean, where's the wager going to be going?
On the Greatwood, is it?
Yeah, on the Greatwood.
Yeah, look, I can see what Frank is saying with Winterscape. He is the one that could be a champion hurdle horse, like more of that in the best fixture. But I just think a hairbreadth is quite well in. So yeah, it's a hairbreadth for me. I still think 10-1 is value.
So still 10-1 value for DJ then. We're going Winterscape for Frank, and Kills had to nail to one selection.
I'll stick with Leon Cavallo.
Leon Cavallo for one of potentially 3 runners for the informed Ben Pooling Yard. And then to wrap on for the rest of any tips on the rest of the Cheltenham card, we've also got the Tote Pool Southern National at Fontwell at 1 o'clock on Channel 4. Anything else elsewhere for you, Paul?
Not really, no. I couldn't get my head around the Tote Pool Southern National. I will have a little go at it later, but not now.
Okay, and then, gents, we'll come to you, DJ. Anything else elsewhere, or you more interested in the Irish action, shall we say? There's a decent card at Navan, isn't there?
There is an absolute cracking card at Navan, my local track. Yeah, obviously the Mullen Hurdle, you've got Jerry's Girl making a reappearance for Gavin Cromwell against Shane's Hill. The versatile Shane's Hill, you've got Snow Falcon to dig out the plotting shed. It's quite interesting. Snow Falcon has race fitness on his side, so he might be a little bit of a price and might be value in that. You've got the Novice Hurdle at 110. I can't understand why Mick Jazz is down to be declared to run in this race. There's no jockey on him yet, so I'm hoping he won't run because he's seriously well handicapped, and I'm hoping he's keeping him for a handicap hurdle at Fairyhouse early next month. But Lamar Talan of Noel Meads will probably win that, I'd imagine. And then you've got probably the best beginner's chase of the year so far, with Annabelle Fly, Gertine, Martello Tower and Tycoon Prince all against one another. Cracking race. I think Annabelle Fly could have plenty to offer over fences, but I think Tycoon Prince has been working well, and he is quite interesting. But I just think Annabelle Fly could be a Grade 1 horse over fences, so I'm hoping Annabelle Fly will start the season with a win over fences.
Do you know what happened to Annabelle Fly last season? Because when last thing I heard, it was going to run in the Galway Hurdle. It was all the talk, and then just seemed to disappear.
Yeah, no, I agreed with you. I talked it up in a column about Galway in a couple of weeks previous to it, but I rang Tony and he just said, I think he's treating them like a Grade 1 horse, and that was kind of music to my ears. I think he thinks he's very good and has done from day one. He's also won his maiden hurdle at Navan, so yeah, I think it's just a case of, not rushing him when he was, not rushing him last season. He already had his job done by winning that handicap hurdle at Punchestown, so fingers crossed he's going to turn into a Grade 1 horse over fences. Okay,
fingers crossed there. Frank, have you been banging on in the Paddy Power offices about anything to try and add into a Super Hinds?
Yeah, I just thought there was a couple of interesting ones on Sunday at Cheltenham. Now, again, this is a little bit dependent on the weather, but that Clonat Alec House of Tony Martin's won very easily up Muscle Barton. It only got £7. If it doesn't rain too much, I think he's got a big chance. If it does rain and gets a little bit softer, that Altice de Guy of Martin Keatley would be of interest, and that should be a big price. And Brahms de Claremont would be very hard to beat in the bumper. in the listed bumper. Then in the final, I did have a look at that Southern National.
Yeah.
This one again will be a little bit for price. Ballyhoig Bay of Chris Gordon's. Just a couple of pieces of form made of interest to me. It was third at Sandown last December off 131 over 3.5 miles behind Carl's Destray. I think it's off £4 lower here. It's got proven stamina, and I think it'll be a big price, probably an each way play. And I agreed with David. Annabelle Fly would be very excited to see over fences. And we have the Lismullen and Fortria Chase price up there now as well. If anyone's
go on, far away.
What price is Ballycasey, Frank?
7-4 Ballycasey, 11-4 Gamble, 130 Telesmore, 5-1 the Game Changer, and 20s Bar. And in the Lismullen,
that'll go off much shorter than that.
Yeah, I'll tell them they've rigged it then, Dave.
Gilgambo over 2 miles. Stop.
And the Lismullen were 2-1 Doris Girl, 9-4 Shane's Hill, 5-1 the Plotting Shed, 6-1 the Degout, 10-1 Snow Falcon, and
10-1
Bars.
Snow Falcon. Oh jeez. 10-1 Snow Falcon. He will not go off 10-1. Not hope.
Well, scrap these prices and start again, I think is the motto.
That's what happens when I don't price them out.
Brilliant. Well, gents, I mean, we've had covered so much action there. It's been fantastic. Le President for me on Sunday. That's the one I'm going to be banking on. But I'm going to have to say goodbye. But thanks to Frank, to David and to Keels for joining us. And join us again on Monday, where fingers crossed we'll be joined by Sam Twister Davis. So thanks for listening. Speak again soon.
The Racing Postcast in association with Paddy Power. They pay more extra places than any other bookie.